Hello and thanks for joining us. It might be cold outside, but inside I've got my little rays of sunshine, Saeed of RC and John Waite. Coming up, summer vibes. Our Luke Kempner has a roundup of the best sun-filled TV and films.
Yes, I'm going to get you from your sofa to Sicily with the flick of a button. I've got the shows and movies that are packed with sunshine, and if that's not enough, I've even got details of cheap flights to transport you there in real life. And I've got sunshines on my jumper.
Oh, you just missed a sunshine.
Oh, I'm a ray of sunshine.
I love it. Now, one show on the telly destined to give you the chills, though, is Happy Valley. Nothing happy about last night's episode, but do not worry. No spoilers here. Pharmacist Faisal Bharti, played by actor Amit Shah, will be joining us live for a catch-up. And she's from the valleys, kind of, and is always happy. Consumer expert Lisa Webb will be sorting out your consumer complaints.
Yeah, we've got everything from issues with Boots Advantage points to faulty products. And if you're one of the lucky ones that has managed to get on holiday, you might have got caught up in the delay, so we'll be letting you know your rights.
What about getting a refund on John?
No!
I'm only kidding.
I'm out of warranty.
Don't we know it? What are you making?
Well, all this week we're going to cook up some lovely, tasty winter warmers, and today's dish is a real warm hug in a bowl. I'm making lentil dal, and it's just over £1 a portion, and it's comforting, not just for you, but for your wallets as well.
Ah, smashing. Welcome to Steph's Pack Lunch, live from Leeds. It's working. I've got a cold, and actually talking about the summer and seeing Luke's jumper, it's actually making me feel a bit better.
That's it.
Good. That's why I did it.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm always thinking of you.
If you fake it till you make it kind of vibe. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
that kind of thing, yeah.
Lovely. Anyway. So, Beyoncé hit the stage for the first time in 4 years. It's been rumoured she was paid around £20 million for the hour-long gig. But it's caused a bit of controversy because her performance was in Dubai, where, of course, same-sex relationships are illegal and are punishable by imprisonment and even death. She didn't perform any tracks from her recent album, which is a celebration of queer culture, leaving fans to accuse her of being a hypocrite. John, is she a hypocrite?
She certainly is. I think she is, because in that latest album, what she's done is she has really taken elements of the disco ballroom scene from America, from New York, queer black culture, queer culture generally. She's really celebrated minorities in that album. And then for her to go to not only a country that doesn't really allow same-sex relations, as we can all agree on that, I think that's a fact, for her to go to that country and not, first of all, not perform any of those songs is a kick in the teeth, but just going there in the first place, considering what she's done in that album, it transforms the celebration of that album to appropriation, and I don't like that term. I think it's too often used in the press. But I think what this is an example of is cultural appropriation, because she isn't a true ally.
I love Beyoncé, and I'm disappointed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I am disappointed because, like you say, I think it's different if you don't put yourself out there as someone who's, saying they're an ally and everything else. If you're not doing that, perform away.
Yeah.
But if you are, then it is a kick in the face. What do you think, Saida?
Yeah, so look, there are so many parts to this discussion around human rights in countries, aren't there? First of all, I mean, we have people on our annual human rights report that the government produce to whom we say we have concerns about them, and then we sell them arms. Right?
Yeah,
so the whole human rights space is completely messed up. But I think the point that you make is really important. If you set yourself out and say, this is something I really care about, for example, for me, it's about minority rights and minority religious rights, then you can't just do it in one place. You've got to be consistent in that. And I remember when I was a minister at the Foreign Office, often we'd go to countries and the official advice would be, oh, well, don't touch this issue of minority rights here because it's quite a sensitive issue. And I said, well, I'm not prepared to accept that. And I consistently went against advice and raised the issue of minority rights. And I remember when I left government, one of the things that I think one of the Christian publications put out was that today the church has lost its strongest friend in government. And I'm a Muslim by faith.
Yeah.
And I felt that is a real indication that you're prepared to walk your talk.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's an issue here. Is there any country in the world that doesn't have human rights abuses? Probably not, right?
Well, you can't deflect like that. You can't, you know, if this is the problem is when you talk about kind of big events like this, like Beyonce, she's a global superstar. She has the power to elicit change in the world. So we have to, our eyes are drawn, like it was with Beckham and Qatar, our eyes are drawn at this moment to Dubai. And yet there are other countries with even worse human rights records, but we can't deflect. We have to deal with it when we hit it head on.
What if she performs in the US, though? I mean, let's take this right back to, you know, we've got countries around the world like the US where you've still got Guantanamo Bay and it hasn't, you know, completely been resolved. There's questions about, you know, extraordinary rendition, taking people around the world, you know, in kind of hooded masks and they don't know where they're going. Torture. These are all on record. What if any of these stars perform in the US?
She's not sang about that. She's not sold a multi-million selling album based on those things. She's sold it on queer culture, and now she's kicking. It's a kick in the teeth for people.
Let's bring Luke in as well, because Luke, if you got asked to perform in Dubai, go and do a comedy gig out there, would you do it?
For £20 million? No, I wouldn't do that. No, I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think that's the thing. I think if you have profiteered from being a symbol of queer culture and sort of, if you're doing it in a way that goes, look, I'm here, I support you, I'm part of this, I'm going to a place where none of you would want to go, and I'm going to earn lots of money, especially money that you don't need. You know, it's like Beyonce doesn't need £20 million. She's not going to go, oh, my God, we're going to get a new house, Jay-Z. Do you know what I mean? Like, they don't need the money. So, for me, I feel like it is a bit of a disappointment, and I just don't think she needed to do it.
But would you perform there?
I think I would. And I'm sorry to say that, because I know not everyone will like that, but I think, for me, I'm in a different position to Beyonce. So I think, you know, if someone said to me, look, I'm not going to say the amount of money, but if there was a certain amount of money, I probably would, because I know what that could mean for my daughter. I know what that could mean for my life and things like that. So, like, I think it's... Yeah, it's tricky, and I feel maybe I should feel ashamed for saying it, but, you know, that's
Helen, you lived out in Dubai for a long time, didn't you?
I did. Brought up my kids there, lived out for nearly 10 years.
You've got gay relatives as well, haven't you?
Gay relatives, gay friends, they all came to stay in my house, which was, I guess, illegal. My conscience was pricked on a number of times, like actually thinking, do they know what they're coming to? And I remember those kind of awkward exchanges and thinking, look into this before you come. But just in the same breath, I'd probably say to my mum, you know, are you aware that you can't bring these prescription drugs in? Or are you aware that there's these human rights? There's things which are really serious, and travellers should be conscious of what they do before they go to a country. Thankfully, nothing happened to my friends and relatives when they did come. But that's not to say that it doesn't happen, and not to say that it's right. I tried to live there as a conscious citizen. I didn't agree with a lot of things that were there, but I tried to do my best in that community and bring my kids up with an awareness and a conscience of that we weren't just privileged as a heterosexual woman and a white woman in a family.
Yeah.
There's another topic involved in that as well, if I could just comment on, is that kind of the financial inequality as well in places like Dubai and Qatar is if you're rich enough and you're powerful enough, you can take your homosexuality underground.
Yes.
You know, there was a survey and a research paper in the London School of Economics, and it said that, you know, 26 white people, or half white, half Arab, if they had the money, they could be openly gay, flirtatious, and have, you know, quite extravagant parties without police getting involved underground. So this kind of, it furthers financial inequality, which really gets my goat as well.
Yeah, but Chelsea, you think it's fine for Beyonce to perform there?
No, I don't think it's fine, but what I think the bigger issue here is the fact that it's money. So money talks, and whenever, you know, there's big amounts of money on the table, it is taken, and like Luke said, it would change his life. Well, things become relative. So Beyonce's renting a £95 million house or whatever. So it all becomes relative, the money. And unfortunately, it is that has made her trade in her morals wrongfully. I don't think she should have done it. But I think the bigger issue here is the drive of money. And unfortunately, Dubai is incredibly wealthy. And that's exactly why they did the World Cup and all that happens. And then, you know, there's money being hand over fist. And these people are taking it. And would anybody in this room turn down over £20 million for an hour gig? I'm not sure they would.
John?
I wouldn't do it. And I know that sounds ridiculous. I would not take £20 million to perform in Dubai. And I know people will probably laughing at home thinking, what a plonker. Of course he would. I wouldn't, because if people, there but for the grace of God go I. If I were born in this skin in a different country, I could have been killed by now. And I won't endorse
What do you think about holidaying, though? Obviously, we're talking about Beyonce being paid to perform there, but what are your thoughts on going on a holiday to places like that? You've talked before about going to Egypt.
Yeah.
I've been to Egypt before. I've been to Oman before. Yeah.
Well, knowing what I know now and the kind of my moral standpoint, I don't think I would go. But in a way, is it defensible? I'm not saying it is. I'm asking the question, so don't jump on me. But is it defensible? Because if you go away, at least you're contributing to society at large for people who are also victim to that repression, but they just so happen to be born into that country. They still need to make a living and hopefully get an education in which they can then overthrow the government and...
Yeah, but then you could say that by Beyonce performing there, she's contributing to people because there would have been a lot of people who would have been, supporting her in some way to do that performance, who would have been paid.
The problem with Beyonce is that she's done a best-selling album on queer culture, hasn't she? She's a downright hypocrite.
Yeah. I mean, and you wouldn't go on holiday to places like that, would you?
No, it's just too much of a risk. I agree with John. It's so hypocritical of her to do this, having supported the queer culture for so long. I can't help but feel that we've been here before with the whole David Beckham and the World Cup issue. I have a young family. I'm in a same-sex relationship with a young family. No way could I take our family to places like Dubai. It's just too much of a risk.
Yeah. Does any of this change your opinion, Saida, when you hear everyone talking about it?
Look, I've been a human rights lawyer. I was a human rights lawyer for many years, and then I was the Minister for Human Rights in government, and I've seen it all, and I've seen it in a lot of detail, and I've seen such terrible human rights abuses where children are locked up, for throwing stones, where people aren't allowed to walk down certain streets simply because of the family they were born into, where people are imprisoned because of their political views for all their life, where the most appalling abuse happens to women, where pregnant women have had their tummies slashed and their babies, kind of the awfulness that I've seen. And so for me, I kind of think when you take all of that, there are countries around the world who have the most awful human rights abuses, and we are lining up to sign trade deals with them. And I think for me, that is far more important, governments taking a position, because unfortunately, human rights has become one of those tools that we use as a stick with which to beat our enemies, and we just completely turn a blind eye when it comes to our so-called friends.
It might be quite disturbing for some people to have heard some of the things you just said there. Should say as well, don't forget about our support pages, channel4.com/support. It's what we want you to get in touch about too. Do you think it's hypocritical that Beyonce performed in Dubai when her previous album was a celebration of LGBT culture? Would you still go on holiday to a country like Dubai despite their views on human rights? Get in touch on our social channels. Use the hashtag #StephsPackedLunch. Now, we have talked loads about the rising cost of our electric bills. Well, tonight, between the hours of 5 and 6, up to 1 million households across England, Scotland and Wales will be paid to use less energy. It's all part of a scheme to help avoid blackouts as the weather gets colder. The National Grid have said people don't need to be worried about electricity supplies. We've got Lisa, our consumer champion here. How will this work then, Lisa?
Well, I mean, there have been trials already. So Octopus Energy was doing trials on this, and apparently it worked really well. You have to be signed up to it. So, like you said, there's up to 1 million households that are signed up. There are now 26 energy companies signed up to this as well. So check if your energy company is one of the 26, and then you can sign up. And what you'll get is a notification to say, it's happening tonight between 5 and 6. Effectively, just use less energy during that time. Now, that's not to say turn your heating off. We don't want people getting cold or anything like that. But if you can avoid putting your washing machine on, or leave your tumble dryer load till later, or cook your tea earlier or later, just find a way to sort of spread the energy use. And the aim here is to try and make sure that energy use isn't all being condensed into one hour.
But like you say, you have to apply for this, and then you have to have a smart meter, and they will then decide whether they do want you or not. So it's not a done deal.
So once you've applied, and yes, like you say, you've got to have a smart meter, but then equally to remember, this isn't cash in your pocket. This is a discount off your energy. So you're not going to make cash. You just won't spend as much.
And you mentioned there about people turning heating off. That's what you're worried about, aren't you, John, about... vulnerable people who need the money actually making their situation worse for themselves.
Yeah, because when I read it, I wasn't aware that it didn't apply to, like, you know, your heating. And if it kind of, in a way, for me, if I were to see it, if I were to be, you know, in a situation where I was really worried about my finances, and some people in my family are, they might want to turn the heating off to save money based on this scheme. And does that not therefore mean that it's incentivising you kind of risking your health? Because if you turn your heating off, it's -2 outside. You could get riddled with something, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Is that not a concern?
Yeah, I think that is a concern, but I would urge everyone, don't take any silly risks here. This is just turn a few things off, see how it goes, see how much money you can save. It is just for 1 hour, so don't go nuts.
Pop an extra cardi on.
Yeah.
You know.
Doesn't work when you're cold, does
No.
it?
And Chloe, you couldn't even apply for this, could you? Because you need to have access to the electricity all the time.
It's really interesting watching the discussions because you kind of just sit there as a vulnerable or disabled person thinking it's completely and utterly irrelevant for me. You know, I can't regulate my temperature, so putting a cardi on doesn't make a blind bit of difference. Yeah. And that's the case for people with spinal injuries. But also, one thing that really doesn't seem to be included in this discussion at all is medical equipment. So I have a feeding tube and I need a pump to pump that feed in. That is powered by electricity. I have an electric wheelchair because I'm not strong enough to propel myself outdoors. That needs to be charged every single day. Yeah. I could go on and on about the amount of medical equipment that other disabled people have that needs to be powered by electricity, that we can't just turn off. You know, I'm thankful that in my case, yeah, the feeding pump will hold power for a little while, but there are people who have an electricity-powered, like, breathing apparatus. They can't just turn that off. Yeah. So I kind of feel like that's being missed here, and it's a brilliant scheme, but it doesn't apply to the people most in need.
Yeah, particularly given the fact you use so much energy, you'll be hit by the rises more than most of us.
Yeah, and you can guarantee that benefits aren't going up for vulnerable people to account for that.
Yeah. Linda and Nick, you actually applied for this, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought we'd try it. So we applied to get a smart meter fitted. So the engineer came out and couldn't do it. So there's kind of the meters sat there, but it wasn't connecting to their system somehow. And we've had like 4 people out to do this and it hasn't connected at all. And I've heard of other people having problems not getting their smart meter commissioned. So we can't even apply.
But I think, and also for our family, we recognise, particularly even this winter, how much over usage on electrics we do as well. So I think it's just the cost rise for us has actually helped our family talk about turning lights off more. Maybe not when you're in the room, which Linda does a lot for me. But
switch everything off.
But that kind of thing, I think it's probably helpful to be mindful of it.
Yeah. Just am I right in thinking you think that people should be fined if they use too much electricity?
We're a bit, in our family, a bit like your family. We turn down radiators in rooms that we don't use, turn off lights, and also we try and not put the washing machine on at peak times. You know, there are things you can do. But it does annoy me sometimes. You know, you're sitting in your room and you're nice and warm, you've turned off radiators so the rest of the house is cold, and then your husband walks in and out, and he leaves the door open. And I said to him, I think there should be fine for people who leave their doors open because, you know, anyway.
And leave lights on in rooms when they walk out. Yeah, that's a really good point.
I'm getting a placard, I'm joining that campaign. Honestly, with open doors just drives me insane, especially the kids.
Yeah. And it's always
constant.
It is.
Yes, it is. Let's not go to any gender stereotypes here, please. Okay. Now, we have all heard the stories of people buying pets over lockdown. In fact, 3.2 million households in the UK got a pet during this time. But now the reality has hit for many of them, and the RSPCA has recorded a staggering 73% rise in the number of puppies being abandoned after the spike in demand during lockdown. So, should we return to the days where owners have to have a licence to own a dog? Chloe, you're our resident dog expert. What do you think on this?
I disagree. I don't think we should have a licence to have a dog. Now, my reason for this is that we currently have legislation in place to permit responsible breeding, so breeders need a licence from their local council. We have dog boarders needing a licence, we have dog walkers needing certain types of insurance, and we also have a requirement for our pets to be microchipped. None of those are currently policed. They're not. There's so many different areas where we keep sitting here and we go, oh, we should introduce this legislation. But if we don't have the forces in place to actually regulate it, what's the use? It's just a waste of time and a waste of money.
Yeah, interesting, because Fazana, you're obviously in the police for 30 years and Would it be possible to police these things, do you think?
Well, back in the day, I actually used to issue, when people come to the front counter, dog licences. So it was a written document, and it was 37 pence, and I actually remember doing that. And that was stopped with the introduction of the Dangerous Dogs Act, which came in 1991. I do think, though, it's important to have a register because there are now lots of breeds of dogs, and it's really important, I think, to police that, to be fair, because I think that's the reason why the dog licences were scrapped, because it was difficult to police.
But who would police it? Because, you know, the police themselves are already quite stretched, aren't they?
Yeah.
So who would police it?
Sai, did you think it would work?
I think the person who owns the dog should have some level of vetting, because ultimately we are handing these puppies over to people who may not be responsible, who may not have thought through the commitments they're about to take on, who may not understand what this is going to cost them in time and money. And the number of times I've been out and I've seen people with their dogs and they're not in control of them, the dog doesn't look particularly happy or settled, and I've commented to my husband and said, I'm not sure that person should really own that dog. Now, it may not be their dog. They might just be walking it. It might be for a relative. But I'm not convinced. And this, you know, what we've heard now with people abandoning puppies is an example of that. Do people think seriously enough before they take on the responsibility for an animal? And I think having licences would be one way of doing that. I mean, somebody was telling me about when those that take on rescue dogs are properly vetted and questioned about what they're going to do. So why is it that rescue dogs get that treatment in terms of who's taking them, but anybody else can just walk in, pick up a puppy, and we're expecting them to be responsible adults?
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem, though, is because I remember when I worked on Watchdog, there were so many stories that we used to get about terrible breeders who were just going under the radar, and, you know, and that's another big part of the problem in all of this. Right, should we talk about guilty pleasures now?
Oh,
nah, not that kind. No. People, you know what, I'm actually, it is for me, though, tax returns, everyone.
Oh,
you know, that's what turns me on. They might be boring for some, but according to TikTok, I've now got validation from the young people of the world, videos with the hashtag HMRC have racked up 56 million views, not all me, and there was over 100 million users who watch videos with the hashtag self-assessment. So this is one you can see now, and it's basically videos of people doing their tax returns, but not in the sense of in an educating way, but more in them getting their stationery out, getting all their receipts out. This is like literally my heaven, sitting there, placing them all out, and, you know, getting their little stationery out, writing everything in their diary. But do you have anything you watch? I mean, it is quite amazing that there are lots of people watching these videos.
I was going to say, I wonder if the former Chancellor watched those videos. Maybe he should. Maybe he should have.
I'll give you that one.
Thank you. I love pimple popping videos.
Oh, no!
Yeah, I won't go into detail because people are having the lunch, but pimple popping videos for me are just like heaven.
What about you?
You know, I got into, and only because Luke got into this, was the kind of hoof cleaning stuff that you were doing.
Oh, it's the best.
I got obsessed with watching them, not because actually I got obsessed with watching them, because you were obsessed with watching them. So I got obsessed with watching the videos you were posting about it. But that's really therapeutic.
It's the best.
I think anything that starts out really dirty and then comes out really clean at the end is definitely my
story of my life.
You can clean my trotters any day, Sadie.
And what's it your husband likes watching?
Yeah, so just on those videos about tax returns, I thought my TikTok habits were boring until I saw those tax return videos. But my husband likes to watch people getting their spines realigned and all cracking. And their necks. So what I did this year at Christmas is I bought him an appointment to see a chiropractor so he can have it done for himself.
Oh. Elaine, what about yours? You've got a weird one you watch, haven't you?
A weird one, yeah. Do you really want to know?
Yes.
I like to watch brow lamination.
Oh, where people get their eyebrows laminated.
You know, when it goes straight and they do it quite slowly and you can see the hairs going straight. I just find it quite therapeutic.
Yeah.
I just don't know what it is, but I just like that. Apart from watching pimples and, well, not so much then, but blackheads, but I do prefer the...
Yeah. Can't believe there's different categories.
Brow lamination all the way.
Still to come, Lisa is sticking around to answer more of your consumer questions.
We've got loads to tell you about, including an email from a viewer in her 80s who's been having problems with a vacuum cleaner. We've been in touch with a manufacturer to tell them to suck it up and sort it out. More on that later.
And Happy Valley is taking over our Sunday nights. We're catching up with Amit Shah, who plays the pharmacist. But we don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't caught up, so it will be a spoiler-free zone. See you after the break. Hello, welcome back. Right. Happy Valley is back on our screens, as if you couldn't have not know that. And it's another cracking series last night. Millions of us tuned in to watch, including me. But don't know, if you haven't caught up, we are not going to spoil it for you at all. Someone's just cheered in the lunch mates there. Get watching it. Amit Shah, who plays the pharmacist, Faisal Bharti, joins us now. First, though, let's take a season's trailer.
Heard you're retiring this year.
Everything I've ever done is in your best interests. He is his dad. He's not his dad. He's a narcissist. He's a psychopath. You know this could be dangerous, don't you?
Oh, good. We didn't want to show you anything from last night in case you haven't seen it yet. Amit, thank you so much for joining us. So, I mean, this series, I am so pleased to say, is just as good as the first two series. What was it like for you joining a hit TV show that had so many expectations of it?
Exciting, I guess. At first, you feel like a bit of an imposter because it's a well-established series and had such a following. And there's always this anxiety before, the next series. And this is the final one. So there's a lot of expectation and you don't want to mess it up. But then you remember that it's Sally Wainwright and it's Happy Valley and it's going to be a huge hit.
Yeah.
So great.
Sally Wainwright's writing, as you say, is incredible. So tell me about how you got the part on the show. Did you have to obviously audition and do that with Sally? How does it all work and what was that like?
I didn't meet Sally during the audition process. So I had to do a self-tape audition and then they actually travelled me up to Leeds to do a screen test with the director. And that was quite intense, 14 pages of dialogue. And then I remember just going back on the train back to London and kind of crying, thinking, oh, my career's over. I messed that up. And then a week later, I got the offer and I was in the middle of Norwich city centre trying to buy a Christmas tree with my partner and we were jumping up and down in the square. It was great.
Oh, I love hearing about where people are when they found things out. So tell me about your preparation for the role then. So you're a pharmacist in it. Did you chat to any pharmacists or anything like that?
Well, funnily enough, I do have pharmacists in my family, quite a few actually, probably like 50% of them. But yeah, I did speak to lots of pharmacists. I had lots of Zoom sessions and rehearsals with Molly Winard, who plays Joanna, which were really intense. And there's so much dialogue between us. So we really wanted to be on top of that. Yeah. And had some dialect sessions for the accent. Because I'm not from that part of the world. And yeah, it was.
Do you know, when you're doing the Zooms, like you were saying there, you were doing that with the person you star in lots of scenes with. Did you have to do them like in secret away from your partner and stuff so that they wouldn't, or could you, or is it all right? Or do you have like an unwritten rule where you're like, just don't tell anyone? Because everything has to be kept so secret for this, doesn't it?
Yeah, I didn't talk to my partner or my family about it. And people, I mean, my partner especially hates spoilers. They really do hate them and they want to experience it moment by moment. And the show's a bit like torture, isn't it? It's just, people get so stressed watching this show, but they need to do it every week. But I can imagine people probably having heart conditions afterwards.
Yeah.
It's a stressful show to watch.
And what about the reaction you've had from people then? Because your character goes through, I don't want to give anything away, but, we see various sides to your character, don't we?
Yeah, he goes through a proper journey. And, he's this local pharmacist who at the start of the series kind of blends into the background. He's feels invisible in his own life and craves control, and something happens to kind of give him more control, and he feels alive as a result. But I love playing him. He's a flawed character, and a lot of Sally's characters are flawed, and you can't really put them in a goody villain category. They're just all very rounded.
And what have your family said to you, or have you had people in the street who've seen it and, you know, wanted to talk to you about it?
Yeah, family are really chuffed, and they don't really trust me anymore, but that's what can you do? I was in London the other day, and I went through the barriers at a tube station, and I just had a girl kind of point at me and didn't say anything. And so I didn't know what to do. So I started pointing at her. And then we literally stood there for 3 seconds. And 3 seconds doesn't seem like a long time. But when you're just standing there pointing at someone, that was odd. But then I just walked away. But yeah, I have been recognised, and some moments have been lovely and some have been weird.
Yeah. And are you watching it as well? Like, are you watching it, or are you avoiding it?
No, I'm watching it. I'm watching it and getting as stressed as everyone else is, because you kind of forget about what you've done and what the story is, even though you know what's going to happen. And there's been a year break, so you kind of forget. And this is probably the first time that I've been able to take off my industry hat or actor's hat and just enjoy it as a proper audience member.
Yeah, and then people like Sarah Lancashire and Siobhan Finneran, it must be amazing to be part of such a big show with them as well, such amazing actresses.
Siobhan, I know from years. Well, I've worked with her on a series called The Other One, which was a BBC comedy, and I worked with her years ago on Benidorm. I played her brother-in-law, a guy called Vikram.
Oh my God, I forgot that. I love Benidorm, and I've literally that's you.
That's me. Without the beard, yeah. And Siobhan, I love Siobhan. We don't have to say anything. We just look at each other and we start laughing. Sarah Lancashire's scary but lovely.
Yeah. Do you know, I don't want you to tell us anything, but do you know the end? Like, or because not everyone in it will, I bet. Or can you not even say that? Don't say it if you can't.
I can tell you that my final scenes were filmed in very different ways. Like, I was given a different direction for each take. So I'm not sure what take they're going to choose and where they're actually going to end the story. So, but I mean, the dialogue was the same, but I was asked to play it in very different ways. I'm not clued up.
Yeah. God, I love this. So exciting, isn't it? It's only a telly show, but we love it. And what's next for you then as well, Amit?
So I have a Netflix film coming out later this year, which was with Emily Blunt and Chris Evans, and that's called The Pain Hustlers. And I'm about to start a theatre show. Do you know the Goes Wrong play?
Yes.
Or the play
the play that goes wrong. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm doing a play opposite Nancy Zammit, who's one of the founding members and is in cast, and so looking forward to that.
Yeah, keep him busy though, and we're looking forward to seeing you each Sunday and see what happens. Amit, thank you so much, and Happy Valley continues on Sunday at 9 o'clock on BBC One, as if you didn't know, and you can catch up on all episodes, including the first 2 series as well on iPlayer. Still to come, we're trying to solve your problems with consumer expert Lisa Webb.
We're talking when you're entitled to compensation if your flight is delayed. And if you're someone who loves saving up your advantage points, then I'll be letting you know why it might be better spending them sooner rather than later.
And it's always an advantage having him in the kitchen. John, this week you're making winter warmers, aren't we?
I am indeed, yes. So today it's a lovely lentil dal. It's full of different spices and herbs. And our stern Saida has warned me, if it's not very good, she'll be having a hard word with me. So I better make it good.
Ooh, scary. See you after the break. Hello, welcome back. Still to come, with the bills mounting from the cost of living crisis, more people are looking at giving up their pets. So Chloe Fuller is here with ways you could save money.
It's so sad that 1 in 10 people are thinking of giving up their dogs, but you might not need to. I'll show you some easy swaps and I'll let you know if you're eligible for extra support too.
Lovely. And it's not just dog food that's pricey. The cost of holidays has gone through the roof as well. So we're bringing sun, sea and sand to your living room instead. What are we doing, Luke?
Well, we are travelling across the globe today, from a film set in Australia to a celeb father and a son in Latin America. Basically, I've got loads of shows that will help you pretend you're on a beach and not on your sofa in Skegness. Nothing wrong with Skegness, though. I do like it.
Oh, that's still to come. First, though, it's time to have a chat with Lisa Webb from Which in our consumer corner, because we're getting the questions coming in thick and fast now, aren't they, with various people with consumer problems. The first one is from Harry from Middlesbrough. Get in, up the borough. Shall we see what he has to say?
A group of us were travelling from Manchester to Sao Paulo via a connecting flight in Lisbon. However, our first flight from Manchester to Lisbon was delayed by over 3 hours, as the airline hadn't planned sufficient break for the crew. This actually meant we missed our connecting flight, and by the time the airline had sorted another flight for us, we didn't actually arrive in Sao Paulo for over 12 hours after we went to. I think I'm entitled to compensation, but the airline make it very difficult for me to contact them. What can I do?
Yeah, I mean, Harry will not be alone in having had this problem.
No, and he says, I think I'm entitled to compensation. So first things first, what I want to say is, depending on the reason for the delay, yes, I think you probably are entitled to compensation. Now, what Harry didn't say was that he was flying with an airline called TAP. And TAP is a Portuguese airline that flies in and around Europe, from the UK, obviously, and to Sao Paulo. Now, one of the things that we have found is trying to get hold of TAP is really tricky.
Right.
So the production team here has been trying to get hold of TAP as well for the last few days. No luck. So I'm not surprised that Harry's been struggling. So depending on how long you're delayed for and how far you're travelling, there is compensation available, provided the reason for the delay isn't referred to as an extraordinary circumstance. That's going to be something like a volcano going off or crazy weather. It's not going to be because the airline didn't give the staff enough time to have a rest.
Yeah.
So if that is the reason that they're giving, that the staff needed a break, then yes, compensation is going to be due here. And actually, the long flight and the long delay, 12 hours, because it's calculated from when you're meant to arrive, so 12-hour delay, means that he could actually be getting around £520 per person compensation. The other thing to remember, though, that is if you're really delayed, you're entitled to other stuff too. You're entitled to food and drink, and if it's an overnight delay, you're entitled to accommodation. Now, if he didn't get those things from the airline and he had to pay for them himself, then keep receipts, because you can claim that stuff back too. Yeah. So it's tricky. But...
And as you mentioned there, you know, we've tried to get a response from TAP, still haven't got one. Is there another body that he can go to? If
now,
it's just...
the funny thing about TAP, I mentioned they're Portuguese, they're flying in and out of the UK. They have got an arbitration service. It's on their website. You can click through to it, and I recommend Harry does this. But it's based in Austria.
Right.
So don't really understand why they've got an Austrian arbitration service, but they do. So Harry, talk to them, go straight to arbitration, because if TAP haven't responded to you in 6 weeks, go straight to arbitration.
We're going to continue to try and help Harry, but for just generally for people, if the thing that they should be doing is knowing they will get compensation, they just need to talk to their airline and make sure that it's for the right reason, technical faults or staff issues or whatever, and not something extraordinary.
And on the airline website, there should be a form for you to fill it in, send it off. And if they're not responding to you, have another look on their website and see who their ADR provider, alternative dispute resolution provider, is. Go straight to them and ask them to sort it out. And generally, they find in favour of consumers.
Yeah, well, good luck, Harry, and we will try and to continue to get through to TAP at some point. We've got another question. This is from Julie, who's in Pertley Bridge. Let's find her. Hi, Julie. Are you all right? I hear you've had...
Hi, Steph. Hi, Lisa.
I hear you having a bit of problem with your Boots Advantage card.
I am. I made a purchase over the Christmas period, and I went over to hand my Advantage card over. They said it wasn't in use anymore. They said it wouldn't work anymore. So I said, right, fine, okay. They gave me another card, said sign up for the new card. Any points on there would be transferred over to the new card. So I promptly did that. I rang the dedicated telephone number, and I rang through, and they said because my card had not been used in 2 years, they made it obsolete now. it was no longer valid. However, I should carry on using our service. But yeah, they didn't inform me. I asked on the phone, I said, you know, who can I escalate this to? How many points did I have on that card? She confirmed that I had about £30 worth of points on that. And yeah, really quite annoying.
So they knew what the total was, but they weren't willing to transfer it. Oh, it feels a bit mean, doesn't it?
It's cheeky, isn't it, Julie? And the problem that we've got here is last year, Boots changed its policy. So it changed its terms and conditions for how long you could go without using your card before your points disappeared. And effectively, they've halved it. So now if you don't use your card within a year, within a 12-month period, you can't use the points that are on there. If you don't use it for 4 years, they close it down entirely. And it's part of their new terms and conditions. So you are a little bit stuck. What I would say, though, is they know, like Steph said, they know what you've got there. They've clearly got a record of it. How hard could it be for them to just let you have your points? And £30, it's a cost of living crisis. That could be your toothpaste, your shampoo. There's real essentials you could be getting there.
Yeah.
So it is frustrating. We did speak to Boots. We did get a comment from them. And I'm going to have to read it off the card because it is verbatim and it is a little bit computer says no. They did say, as long as you shop with your Boots Advantage card at least once a year, your points will always be there ready for you to use them. As this customer hadn't used her card since October 2020, her points had been removed. So they do remind everyone, please use your card within 12 months.
That's a good... Unfortunately, you've taken the hit, Julie, for all the rest of us learning that if you've got an Advantage card, get using the points. And it's probably
That's
similar.
fine.
Yeah.
I'll take the hit on the basis that other people are informed, because their latest slogan is "with you for life," which is interesting.
Come on, Boots, give her a point.
Yeah. Right, thank you very much, Julie. Take care of yourself. Okie dokie, I've got a question now. This one is from Dillis, who is from Birmingham. She says she bought a Vax Platinum smartwash, which is a carpet cleaner. She got that in July 2021 from Very. And registered for a 6-year warranty. She says, last month the suction stopped working. I contacted Vax via email, who asked for all the information. That was on the 23rd of December. When I didn't hear anything, I followed it up with a letter. I haven't heard anything more. As an 80-year-old woman, I find it disrespectful to be ignored. Is there a time limit within which a company must respond to the complaint?
Well, Dillis, I agree. I think it is a bit disrespectful. Vax actually gives itself a time limit. They put it on their website. They say that they'll respond within 5 days. Now, I appreciate that they got back to her on the 23rd of December, so there might have been a Christmas period in there, and so she feels a little bit like they were ignoring her. So we give them a little bit of leeway for the Christmas period, but it was too long. Now, in terms of the rights, when you buy a product, you're expecting it to work. It should be working properly. It's only 18 months old, her suction shampoo carpet thingy.
Yeah.
And it's stopped working already. So absolutely. She's got 2 avenues here, though. She could either go to the retailer to say, look, this is faulty, I need repair or replacement, or she's got this warranty. So the warranty she can also use. Vax, I believe we got in touch with Vax as well. And they have actually stepped up and sorted it out for her. So they've said customer service is extremely important to us. They were very sorry to hear about the issue with Dillis. But what they have done is they have actually given her a whole new product. So she is now sorted. But if you do have this problem, go to the retailer first. She has got the warranty, so if you've got warranty, you can use it.
Yeah.
But actually what we've found in the past is that, particularly if you're buying extended warranties, sometimes they're just not worth the money. You're better off just paying for repairs here and there.
So Dillis has now got a new smartwash carpet cleaner, which is why she couldn't join us live, because she's now currently doing
She's going nuts on the carpet.
Yeah. Amazing. Lisa, thank you very much. And thank you to everyone as well for sending in your questions. If you've got a consumer question that you want to put to one of our experts, get in touch. Send it to steph@packlunch.tv. Still to come, the Dogs Trust has seen a big rise in the number of people calling them for help with their pets because of the cost of living crisis. Chloe Fuller is here with the swaps you can make to keep down costs.
We certainly are. Now, dogs can cost anything from £4,500 to £13,000 over their lifetime. They're expensive. So I've got loads of advice and apparently some itches on how to save money on everything from food to dog toys and even vet bills.
Oh, cute. And that's not the only place we're saving you money. John's in the kitchen with a dish that costs less than £1.50 per person.
It's true. Now, this dish is full of spices and it's really, really super comforting. It's my lentil dal, and for me, it's the perfect winter warmer while it's freezing cold outside.
Lovely. We'll see you after the break. Hello, welcome back. In just a minute, we're finding out about the ways you can save some money when it comes to your pets. Also on the show, our rave sunshine is here. Lukey baby, what have you got for us?
Lukey baby's here. Yes, I'm going to be making you feel like you're on holiday with the top TV and films that are set in the most beautiful places. And also, I've got one with Bradley Walsh, you know, from The Chase, and it's me being chased by my son this time, and it's going to be great.
And Luke's not the only one keeping us warm. John has his winter warming food that's packed full of health benefits.
It has indeed. Now I'm making a lentil dal, and it's got everything from turmeric that can help with inflammation to cumin seeds that apparently aid your digestion. So it's a comforting dish, and it's also good for you. 2 for 1.
Can't wait to taste that. All that's still to come. Now, a new report has found that 1 in 10 dog owners are considering rehoming their pets to cope with the cost of living crisis. On top of this, the Dogs Trust said that by the 10th of January, they'd already received almost 2,000 handover requests. That's up almost 50% compared to last year. So with us is dog expert Chloe Fuller to talk about the support that's available and some other kind of money-saving tips as well. Because I think, well, obviously one of the biggest things will be pet food, and pet food can be very expensive, can't it?
Yeah, aside from vet bills, it tends to be the biggest cost that pet owners face. So we can look at changing to a cheaper food to save money. Now, what's really important when we do this is that we avoid reducing the quality of that food when we look for a cheaper food. And that's because food is actually the biggest factor involved in our pet's health. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to decrease that quality, because we're going to have a knock-on effect on their health and potentially end up adding those costs on at a later date. So what we need to look for is we need to look for complete on the pet food label when we're switching to a cheaper food. And what that's going to ensure is
So the word complete?
The word complete.
Where will that be?
Anywhere. It could be anywhere on the packet. And what that means is that that food legally has to have everything that your pet needs in it. Now, the other thing that we can also look for is a named protein as the first ingredient. So we don't want to be looking for something like animal derivatives or meat meal. We want to be looking for something like fresh chicken, fresh beef. And another, if possible, tip would be to buy in bulk. Now, this obviously isn't going to be possible for everybody, but if you can buy in bulk, so looking at a 10-kilogram bag as opposed to a 2-kilogram bag, you can actually save up to half. And lastly, looking for a working dog food is going to save you a further 20%, as working dog food doesn't need VAT added to it.
And where will you find the working dog food? I remember you telling this before, but can you just remind us?
Yeah, of course. So generally speaking, you're not going to find that in your supermarkets or in a pet shop. You're going to find it online. And what you can do is you can look at the website allaboutdogfood.com, and that will detail working foods and foods that fit within your budget.
Yeah.
But we can also save money when it comes to treats, which we've got here in front of us. So, you know, you don't have to buy treats. You can use things that you've got left over in your fridge. So on the table here, which Cinna is very interested in, aren't we? We have some cooked chicken and we have some cooked broccoli and cooked carrots. Now, you don't have to go out of your way to get these for your dog. The whole point of this is whatever you have left over. So if you're not going to use it as treats for your dog. And because it's human food, because it's exciting, it's novel, it's going to motivate them a lot more. Now, just as a quick heads up, just avoid processed things like sandwich meats or cheese slices, just because they're going to have more sodium in them. Now, one last thing on the treats. We've done something really interesting, and we've actually made our own. Now, we're going to put the recipe for this on socials later on, so on the Stephs Packed Lunch social media, and Cinna is confirming that it smells very good. We've made some liver cake, and for these 2 bowls here, it cost us £1.70 to make those treats, and it's just 3 ingredients. Now, if we were to buy the same amount from a pet food store or a supermarket, it would have cost us £7.74.
Oh, wow.
So we've saved, you know, £6 just by making them ourselves.
And how long will they last, do you think?
So in the fridge, they can last 3 to 5 days, but you can freeze them and you can use them for up to 2 to 3 months after freezing. Good boy, this way.
And if you're really struggling, food banks can help, can't they?
Yeah, so thankfully the Dogs Trust and Blue Cross have a number of food banks based across the country, so you can see the locations here on the screen, but don't worry if there aren't any here near you, because we spoke to Trussell Trust and they advised us that they have food banks all across the country for human food primarily. Now, you do need a referral to access this support, so you need a referral from frontline healthcare professionals, so people like your health visitors, your social workers, your doctors, your job centre and places like that. And what they will do is refer you to the Trussell Trust, who will send you on to a local food bank, who will then give you a voucher for pet food. So please don't worry, you won't go without.
I've also, just as a food bank, I do a bit of work with, and I remember when someone came in one day and they were really worried about their pet, and they are often donated pet food as well, so whatever they've got spare, they just try and hand that out. So it's worth asking. If you go to if you use a food bank for food, they might also have some spare. It's worth asking them.
Which is an important mention. If you do have the budget, most supermarkets will have a donation bin, so if it is within your budget, if you can just pick up some food and add that to the donation bin, which are usually near the doors, that would be so much appreciated.
Yeah. Should we talk about vet bills now then?
Absolutely.
'Cause, they can really be expensive, can't they?
Yes.
What kind of helps out there for them?
So thankfully, there's quite a bit of help. Now, the PDSA actually offers free treatment for people who are on these benefits here. Now, unfortunately, it is only for one pet per household, which is a little bit disappointing. But if you don't fulfil this criteria, then they also offer reduced cost treatment for people on these benefits here. Now, you do have to be within the catchment area for these guys, so you need to go onto their website and check whether there's a PDSA hospital in your area. And if we look at the Blue Cross, they also offer free treatment for people on these benefits. And again, please don't worry if you don't come under this criteria, because they also offer reduced cost treatment for people receiving these benefits. Now, aside from the Blue Cross and the PDSA, there are also... Oh, you've got yourself tangled. What have you done? Goodness me, there's me wondering why you're fidgeting. Got yourself all tangled. So there are also not-for-profit vets. And what they're able to do is offer free consultations and reduced cost healthcare. So if you just search on Google for not-for-profit vets, you will find a bunch of those who are in your area.
Yeah. Can I ask you about toys as well? Because you've got some kind of cheap ways to make your own, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got two toys over near you there. We've got a treat dispensing ball, and this was £12.60. And then we have a tug toy there with you, which was £4.20. And we've actually managed to make substitutes for these for free at home. So are you going to demonstrate now? I'm going to give you something to do because you're bored, aren't you? So we have our first toy is probably your favourite, isn't it? So we'll give you this to keep you occupied and then we'll move on. So we've got two of Cinna's favourite things here. We have a bottle. Now, it's really important that you take the cap off this, and you also need to take the ring off this. That's because these are going to be choking hazards for your dog. And we have Cinna's other favourite thing. Can you sit down? That's very rude, thank you. We have a sock. And now what we're going to do is we're going to move over here. Yeah, you're going to get some of these. And we're going to put some of our homemade treats, recipe again on socials, in this bottle here, if I can actually get them in. Bit rubbish, aren't I? And we're going to pull this sock over it. And the reason that we're going to do this is just to make it a little bit harder for the dogs. And then, I'm going to put it on the floor. And he's just going to bat that around. As you can see, he's already trying to get all of the treats out. If he's smart, he'll shake it. Or is he going to give it to me and let you do it for me? There we go. You got some out. Good boy. Oh, OK. Well, Cinna is trained to give things back, so he is just going to hand it back to me as though, no, you need this. No, you play with it while I explain this. Thank you. Now, our other toy is the tug toy. And what we've done is we've managed to make this for free at home. Now, this is made from cut-up T-shirts, but you can also use old blankets, towels. The best thing, actually, is cut-up jeans, because the denim is really tough. Obviously, don't use your best stuff. If this is something that you're going to throw out, then utilise that. Good boy. And what we're going to do is we're going to tie a knot at each end, and we're going to braid it, and the dog will love tugging it. And worst-case scenario, if they destroy it, it's fine, because you made it, so you can just re-braid it again, and therefore it's going to last much longer than this is. And obviously, we do have to give a little bit of a disclaimer. Don't leave your dog on your own with any toys that you've made from the store or homemade, just on the basis that it can present a risk if they do include any of it. Let's not help ourselves. Thank you very much.
Brilliant, Chloe. Thank you
Good
so
job,
much.
sweetie.
Thanks as well. Still to come, we're talking about the TV and films that will transport you from the sofa to the seaside. Luke, what can we look forward to?
Well, we've got everything from the second series of The White Lotus to the new film with Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie. It'll leave you feeling like you've got your dose of sunshine.
And it's getting hot in the kitchen too. John, what are you making?
Well, I'm making a lovely lentil dal, and it's great if you want to batch cook it and reheat it at work for lunches. It's really perfect for warming you up on these cold, miserable, breezy days.
Which is just what I need. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. So, yeah, it's freezing outside. I've got a cold. I know. And summer seems like a lifetime away, so we're going to bring you a dose of vitamin D to your living room. Luke's got the best TV and films that will have you thinking you're by a pool sipping on sangria. How did you just wave there? And I only saw it in the corner of my eye.
I just waved like that, yeah.
Right.
I'm your vitamin D.
You've very much got kids' TV presenter vibes.
I am a bit. Hey, welcome to Stephs Lunch. I'm leaving on a jet plane. Oh, sadly for you, Steph, I'm not. I'm going to be here every Monday to annoy you. But I have found a great selection of TV shows and films that will cast away those dark, dreary nights and make you feel all tingly and warm from your sofa. But what's a holiday without friends? So, John, tell me, what film transports you to the sand?
The beach.
Oh, it's classic.
I know it's got kind of dark undertones, but it's a really heavenly scenery, isn't it? It's so beautiful. And also the soundtrack by All Saints is just one of the...
Oh, I love the soundtrack.
I mean, it's on, you know, all these chill-out albums across
What's it
the
about?
world. The beach.
Yeah.
They go to the beach, and then it's kind of like how democracy turns into autocracy. It's quite a timely allegory for what's going on in our government right now.
What does that sentence mean?
I don't know. It just...
It's that Animal Farm on a beach.
Yeah, but Leonardo DiCaprio's in it and he's well fit. Yeah.
Well, can we just look at how crystal clear that water is? It's so blue and beautiful, and I just love to be there right now.
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. So this is Maya Beach, which is Koh Phi Phi in Thailand, and the January temperature is 24 to 31 degrees. And if you want to get there, yeah, you want to go on holiday there, it's about £1,000 average price.
Oh.
So maybe not for January. But what I love about this picture, right, so this is a picture from the film, and those mountains, they're not actually there. They superimposed them for the film.
What?
Yeah, so there's nothing real anymore, Steph.
So after you've paid £1,000 for the flight, you get there and they won't even be there.
Yeah, they won't even have blue mountains.
Right, we'll stay here and watch
I'm not
something
even
else.
here. I'm just a hologram. OK, so now what about you, Saida?
You know, for me, it's not a film, and this might sound a little bit twee, but I just love watching A Place in the Sun.
Oh.
A Place in the Sun, Home and Away, A Place in the Sun Everywhere, A Place in the Sun Revisited. I mean, look at that.
Yes.
The beach, the waves washing up, and the feeling that you could be living there forever.
Oh, it's beautiful. Now, this is in Cyprus, OK? It's about 17 to 20 degrees. Ooh. And if you want to get there, £408.
Oh,
so
what, now?
Yeah, at the moment. So you could get down there for £408, yeah? So I love this. And also, I worked out how much sunshine you get per episode. It's about 45 minutes, all right?
Yeah.
So if you want to feel sunny, for 45 minutes, watch Place in the Sun. What about you, Steph? What you got for me?
I see, you know, I love a good comedy, so I'm all about Benidorm.
Yes!
I've just been
I love Benidorm.
Yeah, I've just been rewatching it. Obviously, this is a kind of a sitcom based in a hotel in Benidorm, and it's got so many great characters in it. And, like, we heard Amit on the show earlier, who's in Happy Valley. He was in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's loads of people who pop up
Oh,
in
and
it.
lovely Sherry Hewson as well.
And Hannah Waddingham as well, who's now like a Hollywood megastar.
Yeah.
She was in Benidorm.
Yeah. It's absolutely brilliant. Now, average January temperature?
20.
No, 6 to 15 degrees, I'm afraid. But you can get there for £27.
Can you? To Benidorm now?
Yeah, off you go. And it's only from Manchester, but that's only to the end of the month.
Oh, right,
if you want to go, £27, get yourself off to Benidorm.
Very good.
OK, now, that's our favourites. But there are also, right, those are for the oldies, but there are also some newbies. Now, I love this. This is The White Lotus Season 2.
Oh, yes.
And it is out, and it is set in Sicily. Now, if you haven't seen The White Lotus, have any of you seen The White Lotus? Have you seen it? You've seen it, Helen? It's so good, right?
So good. I finished it last night. It is just the best.
It is phenomenal. I absolutely love it. So if you don't know anything about it, right, The White Lotus is basically like a sort of... Oh, what would you call it? Like it's not a villa. It's
No, it's a hotel.
It's a hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's live. Are we live TV?
Yeah, we are, yeah.
A resort. It's a resort. It's a resort. But it's the most amazing resort, and they've got one in Hawaii, and then the second series is set in Sicily. But lots of things happen around it. Shenanigans.
Ooh.
I would say that...
Dark undertones.
Shenanigans doesn't sell it well enough, does it, actually? No,
well, there
but
are plenty of shenanigans, too.
There's lots of shenanigans. There's dark undertones. It's absolutely brilliant. The acting is amazing, and it is absolutely beautiful setting. Shall we have a look at Avita?
Yes.
Let's have a look.
Whenever I stay at a White Lotus, I always have a memorable time. Always.
Welcome to the White Lotus in Sicily.
La Dolce Vita.
You guys are here to learn about your Sicilian roots. Sounds like a fun boys' trip.
Wasn't supposed to be a boys' trip.
We're on a family vacation right now, and it's just the three of us, because all the women in our family hate you.
Please, can we just drop it?
Oh, I absolutely love it. It is so amazing.
The music's gorgeous as well.
Oh, I love the music. It's always got this... That's my best impression. It's absolutely amazing. And it's got the hilarious Jennifer Coolidge, Stifler's mum, is in it. And she's absolutely perfect. She was relaxing on the boat there. She's in both seasons.
She's the only... There's only two
Yes.
people who make both series.
There's two people?
Yeah, her... well, I don't want to give anything away. So
Oh,
I'm
yes.
connected to her.
Yes, no spoilers.
Did she win a Golden Globe?
Yes,
for
she
that
did.
As well?
And if you get a chance to watch her speech, Google it, because she is absolutely hilarious. She is such a brilliant actor. And I had some facts about this, didn't I? Yes, where are my
How
facts?
much does it cost to get there?
I do have that. Don't you worry. It's... No, that's not on that one. Oh, I've got it. Yeah, it's 70... Well, if you want to get to Sicily... 70 quid direct from London Stansted.
What's the temperature?
The temperature, 9 to 12. So not as hot as you might like. But, no, it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Now, you can catch all of Series 2 of The White Lotus on Sky. And the big news is, guys, there's going to be a Series 3.
Yes.
So, Series 1, we had Hawaii. Series 2, we had Sicily. And Series 3 is going to be set in Bognor, Butlins. Yeah. And I'm going to be in it playing the guy who runs the karaoke. That's a joke, of course. But there is a Series 3 coming. It's going to be released early 2024. Now, next up, we've got The Reunion. Now, this is set in Nice. Ooh. And while the scenery is stunning, as you can see here, but the plot is not just a walk on the beach. It is about a school reunion that brings up issues from the past. And if you're really going to feel like you're abroad, because there is a mix of English and French. But don't worry, it is subtitled. But I reckon you will be fluent by the end. That's the end in French. And you can catch it all on ITVX.
Can I just say, that beach that he goes to there...
Yeah?
That's actually a gay nudist beach.
Is it? I knew that. Yeah. I didn't know that. Oh, well...
How did you manage to recognise that from just one...
I've been on many a holiday there.
Know these beaches. Well, you might know that, but do you know how much it is to get there from London?
No.
Well, you will. It's 91 quid.
Oh,
yeah, very, very nice.
Temperature?
The temperature, 8 to 12.
Oh.
8 to 12 again. We are January.
It's like I'm making a decision about where I'm going to go next
I
week.
know, exactly. I am now your travel agent.
You'll be coming here, you're going nowhere, love. You've got to do
Yeah, exactly. Wait till
Right.
summer. Now, up next, we are jetting off to Latin America with the brilliant Bradley Walsh. Now, he has got a new series of Breaking Dad with his son, Barney. Let's take a look.
Look at that rain coming. It's coming. Look, it's coming across that mountain. We are banging trouble here, son, I'm telling you.
It is as well. We'll beat it, don't worry, stay positive.
After 1 hour, the guys have climbed 525 feet, and with a storm closing in and a lack of visibility, Bradley officially has his head in the clouds.
You can't see your hand in front of your face now.
Ooh, Bradley looks truly fed up climbing up Mineral del Chico, which is in Mexico City. Looks good, though, doesn't it?
I don't think that looks fun at all.
Well, it doesn't look fun, but it's good fun to watch
good TV, good TV.
It is really good, and their relationship is absolutely brilliant. Have you seen any of that, John?
No, but I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, it is absolutely brilliant. Do you want to know how much it costs to get there from Bristol?
Go on.
It's £117.
Wow, to Mexico?
Yeah, that's not too bad, is it? But it's only
That's
7 to
typo.
13. Only 7 to 13 degrees. No, average price from Bristol.
600.
No, looking at the
Can
wrong
you-
one.
Oh, my
£670.
Oh,
wow. Little teaser. I got you thinking you were going to go to Mexico City. You're not. You're going to go to our next show, which is a different show. And now, this is your final hit of TV holiday. We're heading for Greece now. See, Greece isn't too bad. And it's a Channel 4 news legend Jon Snow, and he's exploring the world to find out how people live to 100. Now, I want to look as happy as Jon Snow does here.
Yeah.
Now, a fun fact about Greece, some areas get 300 days of sunshine a year, just like Leeds. And you can watch all of this on All 4. And it does look beautiful there, and it costs £117 to get there from Bristol. Yes, so they got that. So what do you think, Steph? What are you going to do to try and make yourself live to 100? Hey?
I already am.
Yeah,
Just do this show every day for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
You know, he's my biggest journalistic crush, Jon Snow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had to say that on national TV.
Yeah.
Hope you watch.
Your crush?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a way to end this part. I'll tell you. We'll find out more after the break. Woo. Hello, welcome back. Now, how many of you have been at the till in a shop and been tempted to buy a scratch card? Now, I'm asking this because one NHS expert has warned that they are one of the most common causes of gambling addiction because of how easy it is to buy them. So just last week, an Asda supermarket was suspended from selling lottery tickets after they sold a National Lottery scratch card to a boy who was just 7 years old, which is obviously completely illegal and wrong. But Saeeda, do you think they should be removed from the tills?
I do, and two actually anecdotes. One, I remember being behind somebody at a till, and her young child was saying, "Can we buy one? Can we buy one?" And I thought, this doesn't feel right. And another occasion, I saw somebody buy one, walk away, scratch it, and then come back and buy another one. And I just think, well, you know, when you go out for essentials, grocery items, you know, what are scratch cards? Are they a little bit of entertainment? I just don't understand why they need to be there just as you're about to, you know, pay for things. It's so tempting.
Yeah. Funnily enough, yesterday when I was in a shop, and they were at the scratch cards there, and I was at the till, and I'd only gone in for a drink, and then I was like, oh, shall I get a scratch card? So it suddenly, and I'd never have thought, I didn't go into the shop to get one, but it's made me start thinking about it, and I do occasionally buy them. Sometimes I buy them and give them as like little, you know, gifts and cards. I probably shouldn't do that, should I? But John, you've been tempted by scratch cards, haven't you?
I have, and usually I buy a scratch card when I'm at my most emotionally vulnerable. Like if I'm feeling a bit down or if work's dried up, you know, I'll think I'll buy a scratch card and see if I can change my life. And really, I think that's what they do, is they prey on the vulnerable, especially the placement of them right there, the impulse purchase section of the tills. They prey on the vulnerable. And if you consider as well, I'm not going to mention names, but there's one woman who's the CEO of a big gambling corporation, and she took home something like £400 million last year in dividends and salary. To think that kind of income and that kind of profit can be made from vulnerable people with sometimes addiction problems, it's disgusting.
Not everyone's vulnerable. You know, there'll be plenty of people who, you know, I have bought them in my time and I'm definitely not vulnerable.
Well, no, not everyone is vulnerable, but I think it is a particularly problematic. Like with alcoholism, there's often much more help involved, isn't there, in kind of combating that and other addictions, whereas gambling, all you get is a couple of warning adverts on the telly, don't you?
I think it seems to be a little bit more acceptable. Like if you had a child next to you at the till saying, "Mum, can you get me that bottle of gin, or can you get me that pack of cigarettes?" everybody would be horrified. But the fact that this child felt they could ask for this scratch card and the parent would buy it and give it to them, I just feel like it's an acceptable form of addiction, and it shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be available.
Yeah, and if it is something actually that is concerning you, do have a look at our support pages, channel4.com/support. Who's watching Love Island?
Never seen an episode in my life.
There's a few. I watched
Not
the first
me.
one. Well, producers seem to be changing their type on paper. They're calling for more only the Love Island fans got that. Thank you. They're calling for middle-aged single parents to apply at last. So they've got a new dating show they're going to do called Romance Retreat.
Ooh.
What do we think about this? Saeeda, would this make you watch?
It might do if it's going to be focused more about relationships and how relationships develop, because I think the issue for me is if it's all about what somebody physically looks like and it's all about kind of, you know, bikini bottoms and whatever, bikini tops, it's just got to be more than that. They can't mix the two, because that would be really creepy if they started having like 19-something-year-olds and like...
No, this is separate.
Oh, this is separate, right, OK. So, you know, and I think if it was a separate programme about relationships and how they develop, and that would be more interesting. But I don't think it's my kind of programme.
I think it's much better.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Pauline, what do you think?
I would. I'd
Go on, Pauline.
Yeah.
I mean, I like first dates.
Yeah.
I used to like blind dates, and they had a mixture. And also, Get Me Out of Here. I mean, they have middle-aged people.
Yeah, of course they do. Like Big Brother had mix.
You just love listening to life stories and experiences they've had. And, yeah, I think it would be ever so exciting.
I mean, I'm not being funny, but your face lit up then, Pauline. Would you consider going on it?
No, I'm not.
Joss, what do you think?
I hate reality shows. I just find them so cringe. And I would never watch Love Island. But I do like to watch young people having relationships, and the thought that a middle-aged person... I mean, I can say that because I'm middle-aged. In fact, I'm more than middle-aged. I think I would just be so cringing through it. But on a more serious note, I think I've got so many friends that have been through awful divorces and are still struggling to find the love of their life. And I think to go on a reality show would just trivialise it, unless it was taken very seriously and done in a completely different way.
Yeah, and then it doesn't sound like a typical reality show.
Yeah.
Chelsea, you're worried about the social media side of it.
Yeah, I think this is brilliant, and I do think that older people should do it. But what I don't think they'd be prepared for is social media. So a lot of young people have grown up with it. And, you know, even if I just in passing tell my mum, my mum's a beautiful, mature woman. She watches, so I won't say her age. But if I say a comment someone's left on something and it's negative, she's beside herself for days. And I'm going, Mum, it's so normal. So I do think that there would have to, it should absolutely happen, but there has to be something in place to try and protect against social media, because it's not something that they're used to and it's not something they've grown up with. And it could be really, really damaging from that point of view.
Interesting, I suppose. They always say with these things how much they give them all the different support and things to deal with it and do psychological analysis and everything. But we'll wait and see what happens then. In the meantime, it's time for your doll.
Oh, I'm too comfy here. Get me into the kitchen.
Yeah, come on, you come inside her. You're judging this, aren't you?
Mama, I am. And you're up against my mum.
Up against your mum?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm never going to win that, am I?
Can you remind me, what is a dal?
So dal is just a lentil stew, cooked lentils. This is a kind of take on what's known as a tarka dal. So tarka dal is where you make a lovely lentil stew or cook your lentils, and then you make a hot oil infused with all the spices and the vegetables. And that's kind of what I'm doing. My difference is that my oil is more slowly cooked, so that I can cook down the tomatoes to my liking. But it's really, really lovely. So let me turn my pans on and get my head in the game, and then we can crack on with my dal. You were talking about dal before, Saya. Did you make it as well?
I do. It's such a quick dish. I mean, you can make it in about 10 minutes.
Is it
It's
healthy?
so wholesome.
It's
it
so
is, actually.
healthy.
Yeah, because it's got lots of different lentils. It's got lentils in it and then lots of other things that are good for your guts and stuff.
So much good stuff. And I'm on a really kind of gut health focus at the minute in my life, and this is like one of the perfect dishes because lentils are full of fibre, full of potassium, full of protein as well. And these are red lentils, which I've just rinsed under water and then sieved them, dried them. Into the pan. They will disperse in a second, it's just because they've been sat in water, he says. And then add some stock to that, vegetable stock, chicken stock. The only non-vegan thing I'm actually using in this recipe today is butter. So if you wanted to veganise it, is that a word? I guess it is.
Yeah.
You can just use coconut oil instead of butter and make it completely vegan. Otherwise, it's perfectly vegetarian. So all I'm going to do, just a reminder, in here I've got my lentils, which I've washed and drained. Put them into a pan along with some stock and some turmeric powder, because we were talking last week about turmeric and how, is it your daughter who says it's not the cure-all to everything?
Oh, yes. We even said last week we want you to get a turmeric. I don't even know how you say it.
Turmeric.
Do you say turmeric or turmeric?
I say turmeric.
Turmeric.
Right.
That's how it's spelled.
Haldi. That's a real word for it.
Haldi?
Haldi, yeah.
That's the place I shop in and it's a bargain.
No, with a H. It's Aldi with a H.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Right, so all you need to do is bring those lentils to a simmer and let them cook until tender. If they start to be quite absorbent or if the water's on quite a rolling boil and it starts to reduce a bit too much, just add a splash more water or stock into that. And then once they've cooked, I'm going to make that lovely spice infusion. So in here, I've got some oil, plenty of oil, and some butter. Again, the butter you can change to coconut fat or coconut oil or any other vegetable oil if you want it to be completely vegan. And then in with my spices. So I'm going to add some mustard seeds, which are full of vitamins, some cumin seeds, which help digestion, some nigella seeds, which are just really pretty,
They've got
And
so many benefits.
So many benefits.
Yeah, Nigella seeds.
And these are curry leaves, fresh curry leaves, which I absolutely love. You can buy these in some supermarkets, some some international supermarkets. But if you can't find them fresh, just use dried.
Can you eat them, or do you just have them as
You can eat them.
the flavour?
But it's a bit like chewing on a bay leaf.
Yeah.
You know, it's not ideal, but you can. But the smell of them, they kind of smell almost like... I don't know how they smell. How would you describe the smell of curry leaves? They kind of smell like a sound. I know that doesn't sound very... makes sense, but they smell like a pop, don't they? They smell like they pop in your mouth.
I can only talk about legal substances, can't I? About what they smell like.
Yes.
Yeah. Smell a bit like oregano.
They smell like curry leaves.
Then in here, once they've started to pop, that's when you know all the volatile oils are escaping from the seeds, so you know that they're going to be full of flavour. So then I add my onion and my chilli. If you don't like it too hot, you can leave the chilli out. If you like it even hotter, add more.
Do you know?
And then just fry that off.
I'm starting to regret not learning to cook properly when I was young. Or even bake, you know.
Really?
Yeah, because have you seen Junior Bake Off?
Oh, it's back, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's so many. They're so good, aren't they?
Some of them are more talented than the adult Bake Off,
I thought you were going to say than you.
No.
But it's really interesting because actually I obviously learn by osmosis from sitting here listening to you every week, but also seeing all the skills they have. It's amazing.
Oh, it's amazing. And Harry Hill's presenting it, and Ravni and Liam are the judges on it.
Yeah. Should we have a little look at a clip?
Have we got a clip?
We have, yeah.
Yes, please.
Today's star baker is... Of course not. It's not as easy as that. It'd be a lot quicker, though, wouldn't it?
Halfway through already? Goodness. No, I'm just taking mine out now. They're looking good. I think this side is probably a bit more underdone. Chill in the freezer. Wait, what? Yours are in the freezer? Yeah. Yours are actually done? Yeah. Mine aren't done. Mine are nowhere near done. Same. They're not cooked.
Oh.
I love that little... Mine are not anywhere near done. It's like... It's so good to watch that. You can catch Junior Bake Off every weekday at 5 o'clock here on Channel 4. I have to say, it's worth watching.
It's so entertaining. It's just as entertaining as the adult one, isn't it?
It reminds me of that other great show, the you know, Secret Life of 5-year-olds, where you see like what they say in real life when they're not aware that the cameras are there. And obviously, I know they know cameras are there, but because they're working so intensely, they forget, and it's dead canny.
So
anyway,
cute.
Back to you, love.
No, it's all right. I could talk about Junior Bake Off all day. Just as a reminder, then, I fried off those onions and the chilli and all those lovely dried spices and herbs. And then once they've cooked down the onions, I'm going to add my chopped tomato, just 1 or 2 plum tomatoes, fresh, chopped finely. A little bit of, well, quite a lot of ginger, fresh ginger, finely minced.
See, I don't ever put ginger in my dal.
I love... Do you not?
No,
Is it
just
not
garlic.
traditional?
Well, I don't know if it is traditional or not, but I've always grown up with just garlic in dal, not...
You've been deprived, Sage.
Have I?
Well, I love ginger because it has such a lovely warming quality to it, doesn't it?
That's good for you as well, ginger, isn't it?
It's so good for you. Good for you. Good for your immune system. And it's an antiemetic. So even if you don't like my dish, you can't be sick. Because ginger will stop you from being sick.
Wow. Oh, that's a lie, because when I had pregnancy sickness, nothing stopped me.
Did it not?
No, ginger... I can't... Yeah. I won't go there.
You'll put people off the dal, love. So once you've put the tomatoes in and cooked those down, you can then add that to the lentils, or I just find it easier to add the cooked lentils to that. Season this well, because spices are nothing without salt, are they? So you've got to make sure you season that well. But there you have it, a really comforting dish. And what you can do is, if you've got a big pot, and you can batch cook it and freeze it. Because obviously at the minute, cost of living, we're all worried about electric bills and stuff like that. So batch cook it, do it in your slow cooker, and then add the oil in afterwards, like I've done, and then just get it in your freezer, and it's beautiful.
It is a winner from me.
You've
Wow. That was absolutely delicious.
Have you licked the bowl clean as well?
No, I used the... was it like a chapati or
your
something?
hand. Use your hand.
No, you had to, like a little... Was it a chapati or something?
Yeah, it's like a paratha. It's like a chapati with... Yeah.
So I used that, thank you.
All right.
Tongue. All right.
You're not at home now, my girlfriend.
More importantly, though, what's the side, I think?
I liked it, but I'm so sorry, John.
Go on.
Listen, my mum is a class act when it comes to cooking, right?
OK.
And so I think it's a great dal. I just think mum's dal would just be...
Your mum's a class act. What does that make me?
No,
Dog dinner.
But listen...
No, you can't beat your mum.
Oh, my God, this is terrible.
Look, you can't beat your mum's cooking. I'm not going to fight you with you.
Do you think your mum would come in and cook it?
Do you want my mum to turn up here? No, you do not want my mum to turn up here.
I would love to see your mum cook it all.
Let's
Can we
do
make
it.
that happen?
A cook-off?
Yeah, because then I'd love to see you next to your mum as well and see whether
You know, when I'm next to my mum, she turns me into a 3-year-old like that.
Yes!
Right!
Right, we'll make that happen. Right, that's your lot for today. Tomorrow, when you hear the beep, it's time for Supermarket Sweep. Our fashion guru, Nana Anchampong, is here with the best fashion picks from the aisles. Sticking with supermarkets, we're also giving you the ultimate guide to expiry dates and revealing just how long your food can really last. Plus, we're meeting one of the first all-female rescue teams who work on the lifeboats. They are encouraging more women to join their crews. Plus, Russell Kane, Alan Johnson and Freddie Forster and possibly Saida's mum. No, we'll do that another time. See you tomorrow at 12:30 here on Channel 4.